It's certainly been a while since I talked about this show.
Yeah, it has. What was our last topic?
How I dislike Starlight Glimmer.
Oh, so what are we talking about today?
The season 6 finale.
You mean the episode that mainly focuses on Starlight leading a team?
Yep. Hello interwebs, I'm Eric and welcome to TheLooneyTurtle. In the most recent episode of My Little Pony, they decided to focus on Starlight Glimmer.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing. However, when they introduced her to the series, I didn't believe they did a very good job fleshing out the story, and the episodes leading up to her reappearance didn't build it up very well. I still don't believe that Starlight's actions match her motive, but I've been trying to forget about that during the course of this season.
Trying?
Yes, because literally every episode she was in, her backstory was blurted out to the audience like some sort of calling card.
Little extreme. Says the pony who tried to make every pony the same by replacing their cutie marks with equal signs.
And then getting so bitter that you steal the cutie marks from an entire village.
I understand not wanting the audience to forget about her actions, but there are more subtle ways of going about that.
How?
A passing mention, like rather than this.
Little extreme. Says the pony who tried to make every...
They could have just said, oh, like you're one to talk. They didn't have to go into the nitty-gritty details.
Are you sure that your distaste for her isn't clouding your judgment a little?
Maybe, but it's still one of the minor gripes I've had with this season. Now, I hate to skip to the end,
No, you don't.
but this moment from the season 6 finale seems just a little too familiar, doesn't it? Celestia, Luna, Changelings, anyone? You have an entire army of powerful magic users right there! Why did you let her escape? At least last time there was an entire cave system in search. This time she's just flying over a barren desert. That being said, I really enjoyed this season finale.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I like it because of its scope and less predictable outcome.
Didn't we know that the changelings were coming back?
Yes, but we were given an explanation for that during the season itself rather than a few passing mentions or Easter eggs that could have easily been missed. By having Thorax introduced, it gave us an explanation for the changeling and distracts from the bigger hint towards the season finale. While I could have easily seen Starlight coming back at the end of season 5, I was a little surprised to see the changelings make a return. Since this had already been addressed, I didn't expect to see a connection to the season finale. That and I was hoping the show was going to be less formulaic with its hints, but it seems they're 4 seasons strong, moving on 5. Maybe.
Well, what do you think about Chrysalis being redeemed in the same fashion as Starlight Glimmer?
The two don't equate, but I think that this redemption arc fits Chrysalis' character a lot better than it did with Starlight.
How do the two not equate?
Because our town is like an Amish village, while the changelings are in a monarchy.
But what about the conformity houses? The bad living conditions? How is our town not a communist state?
Because of its size and the roots of this village, this town wasn't started because the workers wanted a fair share of the wealth, it was started because Starlight believed that cutie marks ruined friendship. Those roots make this more of a religious cult as opposed to a system of governance. If the episode itself is any indication, the ponies who were brought to this town had a choice to join.
I wouldn't exactly call getting thrown into a room a choice.
I'm talking about before that.
What?
Before Starlight turned on the main 6, she was presenting this as a great place to live. How many of the ponies in this town do you think wanted to join?
Why would they? This town is evil!
Well, we know that, but how many of the ponies did? With as much work as Starlight puts into making this town seem like a paradise, how many of the ponies would have willingly joined? I'm not here to say that all of them were on board, but just like Fluttershy, a reasonable amount of the ponies probably supported this life despite its shortcomings. Much like the Amish choose to live without technology, the ponies might choose to continue living without their cutie marks. I don't like Starlight's story because it's too oversimplified, even for a children's show. Not everyone abandons a belief at the turn of a hat, but a lot of people might turn on a monarchy that is intentionally starving them. Something else that I feel helped this episode was how we still have a few questions about the changelings, like how long have they existed, how does their hierarchy work, or even where they live. All of that falls under the theme of world building, and that's what I really want out of this show. The sad thing is that I have to wait 3 seasons before I can get it.
But what about how Chrysalis is now a power-hungry villain?
Are we really bringing that up again?
Yes, because you're ignoring one of the biggest complaints you had about the season end cap villains.
You can't relate to these villains and understand their actions because we aren't given a clear reason for them to be doing this stuff. With the first 3 villains, we can understand where they're coming from, in turn presenting a more interesting and developed character.
Okay, so let me amend that a little bit. Chrysalis was on the relatable side of things due to how she was trying to feed her people, but now she's clearly in it for the power. I suppose the problem I was having had less to do with the character's relatability and more to do with the character depth. With Tyrek, he sucked the power out of ponies so that he could be more powerful. King Sombra ruled over the Crystal Empire with an iron fist because crystal slaves. Starlight ran a town for power over the ponies within it, and you had to wait an entire season before any more depth was haphazardly added to her character. These villains don't seem to have a lot of depth in their first episode, leading me to see them as generic power-hungry villains, whereas near the beginning of the show, there was a little more to it. The whole beginning to episode 1 explained Nightmare Moon's backstory and conveyed her struggles to the audience. Discord, while playful, can be reasoned with to a degree. He could have easily prevented Twilight from ever getting the elements of harmony, but he didn't. He wanted to have fun much more than he cared about power. He played along with their game and ended up failing because he was too overconfident. And Chrysalis was, and to a lesser degree still is, working to get food for her entire race, albeit a little rationed. I don't like Sombra, Starlight, or Tyrek because there doesn't appear to be a lot to explore past their first episode. Future episodes or comics can give them that added depth, but I believe that their roots, however obscure, need to ring true in their first appearance, otherwise it seems tacked on. Kinda like how Starlight was so uninvested in this town that she literally built an escape route in her home, and yet after a season-long wait we find out that she should have had a personal attachment to this ideology. Getting back on track though, I like how this episode subtly built upon a bunch of other episodes. Starlight became friends with Trixie in No Second Prances, Thorax was introduced as a good changeling in The Times of a Changeling, the Sunset Festival is apparently something that happens in Starlight's town, which was introduced last season, Luna's walking in dreams as she should be, Fluttershy being Discord's friend is used to great effect, and Derpy's still a fun crashing male pony. There are a ton of things brought up in this episode that just makes it feel all the more like a living, breathing world with more than 5 characters who can save the day. At the beginning of Season 5, I saw a trailer of the staff mentioning that we would be seeing a lot more of the world of Equestria with the introduction of the Friendship Map. While we have been able to see more of Equestria, I don't believe that they've been able to truly immerse the audience in this world because we've been exploring it primarily through the main 6's eyes. Don't get me wrong, without the main 6, My Little Pony wouldn't be the same show, but after 6 seasons, most of them are getting stale. They're all achieving their goals, with Rainbow becoming a part of the Wonderbolts, Twilight becoming the Princess of Friendship, and Rarity starting a popular franchise across Equestria. I would say that the others are accomplishing their goals, but they're already where they belong. Pinky relearned that in Pinky Pride, Fluttershy learned that when she got her cutie mark, and the same can be said about Applejack. On top of that, most of the threats that come up are handled by the main 6 because they're too overpowered, much like Celestia and Luna have always been. At the beginning of the show, these characters had a reason to be exploring new things in this world because they were still learning just as much as the audience. The elements of harmony were also physical objects, meaning that the main 6 didn't always have the ability to save the day. This allowed Discord to just hide them until he was able to spread disharmony, while Chrysalis was able to thwart their plans entirely. By introducing the rainbow powers, the show writers made it extremely hard to raise the stakes because now there's nothing preventing them from using their powers.
Then how did the changelings catch all of them?
I don't know, it happened off screen.
But you just said...
That nothing can prevent them from using their powers, yes.
Then how...
The same reason Celestia and Luna didn't help the main 6, because it's impossible to show them getting captured without it being contrived. With this episode, it appears that the writers wanted to focus on some of the background characters, but the only way for them to do that was to get the main 6 and usual absentees out of the picture. Since showing the battle wouldn't feel natural or justified by any stretch, the writers left those scenes out. It presents a bit of a plot hole, but allowed them to change the perspective of the episode and focus on something new in this world. That's a balance I can appreciate, but what do you think? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below, and while you're at it, why not check out one of the videos on screen, and I'll see you next time.